Hello everyone, I'm Colin Canet. Welcome back to my channel. Today I really wanted to do a release on a build that I'm working on, but it's just not ready yet. So next time, maybe it'll be ready. But for right now, I've got a couple, actually 3 little jigs. They don't take long to make, handy little jigs, and some tips to go along with them. So let's jump in and do that. So the first jig that I need to make is a wedge making jig for use on the bandsaw, and I'm going to make 2 different sizes on this. Okay, so I'm working up on top of my bandsaw, and I've got a board here. It's about 22 inches by 3.5. I'm going to make a mark here, and I'm going to make another one. You can see there's some degrees up here, and I'm going to make a degree about 7 degrees right about there. And what I want to do now is just join those 2. And I don't have to be super accurate because this isn't anything particular that I'm doing. So I'm just going to do that, and then I can cross that down there like that. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. There it is right there. Okay, I'm going to make that mark. And I'm just going to cut these by hand. Okay, with this jig, you can push the wood through this way, or you can run it through this way. It really doesn't matter. It works on both sides, and it works on either side of the blade as well. Now that I've got it on this side, I'm just going to run this through just so that you can see a quick demo of what this thing does. And there we have a nice, even, very fine bevel. And of course, that's just the 7 degree. There's also a 30 degree on there that I'm going to use for something else, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, I've had to flip this around because my little fence here wouldn't fit on the other side. So let's go ahead and cut this wedge. Okay, so that's that little jig. That's a little awkward pulling it through, but we got it through, and that way you could see what the process looked like. The next thing I need to do, now that I've got this done, and you've seen how this wedge making jig works, quick and easy, you could make them in all sorts of different degrees. Now I'm going to go over to the table saw because we've got some other things to do. Okay, the next jig we're going to make is a multi-piece deflector. And what I have here, you can see I've got my miter gauge here, and very often when I'm cutting multiple pieces, they kind of pile up behind the saw. And I want something that's going to deflect them away from the saw, because if they get in the back here, when the blade is spinning, you can see it can flip them around, and sometimes they get chipped. They typically don't get thrown back at me, but they get chipped and they move around. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a deflector that's actually going to sit right next to the blade, and we'll be able to move it around, and it will deflect these little pieces from getting back in the blade. The only thing, there's 2 things you need to make sure of: that this part here is wider than the board that you're cutting, or the pieces that you're cutting. And also that you're using either a splitter, which I have on here, or a riving knife, because you don't ever want this to ever go back on the blade, because this is where teeth are flipping up. So if you do those things, you'll be just fine. And this can actually even be touching the blade. It doesn't even really matter. So we're going to set that up. I'll show you how to make that. I actually grabbed the wrong piece by mistake there. But honestly, you could use either one of them. They'll both work. In fact, I might use both of them. So what we're going to do, we're going to mount our mag switch on this so that it's going to be quick and easy. And I'm going to show you how to do that so that it works very quickly for you. Now a mag switch, if you're not familiar with them, they look like this. They're semi-round, but they have flat sides on them. And typically they will tell you to use a 1 5/8 hole, and you put it through the hole, and then you have a couple of places where you can put screws in, so that, because you have to activate this thing, you have to turn it, and that activates it and twist it off to deactivate it. So they tell you to use a 1 5/8. I say, no. You don't have to do that, because it's annoying to have to put screws in every time. If you stop and put screws in, it's like, oh, I'll do something else that's quicker. Here's what you do. You do 2 1 3/8 with a 3/8 offset, and look at this. It fits in. You may have to do a tiny bit of sanding on it. It fits in like that, but look at, it's rigid. You don't have to put the screws in. It holds it down, and it stops it. There's no drift on it. Like this one, when you put this on here like that, if you don't put the screws in, it spins around. So we're going to do this configuration. You can see I'm struggling a bit there, but that's good. You want it tight. We're going to do that in this over at the table, or the drill press. Okay, so let's go ahead and drill the first hole. Okay, let's try that for fun and just see if that works. I may have to do a bit of sanding on that. No, look at that. Works perfectly. Nice and tight in there. Good. All right, back to the table saw. Now I've put a cross-cutting blade in there. I've also put in the riving knife, and the purpose of the riving knife is so that there's no way that can get caught in the blade when the teeth are coming up that way. So it's kind of a safety situation. I've also made another, while I was at the drill press, I thought I'm going to make another one in case there's, and I could even make one more for different lengths. I don't want it to get past the end of the. So I'm going to raise this up just a tiny bit, and that can rub against that saw blade right there. It's fine. I've got lots of room in here. I can lock that down like that, and that can't move anywhere. I'm going to turn on the dust collector, and you'll see how this works. It's just amazing. There, and you see how well that works? You know, whenever you're cutting little bits like this, a lot of people have a tendency, when these little bits are sort of dancing around on this end of the table, to put their fingers in and pull them away. This deflects these away from the blade, and it sort of mitigates that want to have to go in there and move these things away, because you can see they're getting moved away. So that's a really good little safety device. So my last little tip here today, this is a can of canned air, and you can get different qualities of canned air. If you're using electronics or something that's really fine, you can get special ones. This happens to be one of those, and I just picked it up because that was all they had. I usually buy these in a case of 6 at a time, and they last me probably a couple of years or so. And I think they're like $65, $75. Again, depends on the quality of air that you get in them. But a friend of mine showed me this the other day, and it comes with a couple of extra nozzles, and this is a rechargeable little portable fan. You turn it on here, it's got some little lights there, and it has different powers. It's very strong. They come in a variety of different strengths, and that, of course, the price depends on that. So I put a link in my Amazon, in the link to my Amazon page. You'll be able to go and have a look at this. And of course, there's different prices, but you really have to look at the power that this has. So I use this quite a bit because I have cameras in here, and I use it on low setting. There's 2, there's 1. And it lightly blows the dust off. If I want to get really high pressure, that is, it blows quite a stream, and it's rechargeable. This thing will, I forget the price on them. It keeps varying, but I think they're around $45, something like that. It's like half the price of canned air. I don't know how long it'll last, but if it lasts me 2 years, I'm already saving money. But it's just super handy, and of course, as I say, comes with a variety of different nozzles on it. But here's the big kicker for me. Now I use it around my shop for cleaning dust off, and I don't want to get a lot of dust in the air, so I would use this on low, which the dust, these things only have 1 speed, high, and that's it. So this one I can adjust that without getting a lot of dust in the air, just sort of clear it off. But the big thing, and my friend Paul pointed out this when I showed this to him the other day, he said, you know what? When just before I finish, he said, after I sand it, I wipe it off. He said, then I vacuum it. He said, but then I get the air compressor out. And I do the same thing, only I do it outside. And he said, you know what? Now for the little tiny bit of dust, and you know what? That can make a big difference in the finishing, especially if you're using an open pore wood like oak. You can actually now use this as a final blowout before you actually put the finish on. So I'm excited to try that and see if that actually makes a difference, because having wood in the pores when you're finishing, that helps dull down the finish. So it depends on the wood that you're using, but blowing the dust out of the wood is a really good thing, and this might actually save you some money in doing that. Well, that concludes my video for today. A couple of really handy jigs that you can make, and they won't take any time at all to make, and you'll be really surprised how well they work. And a little air blower, if you want to check that out, if you do use canned air or an air compressor in your shop, and you want something that's just quick and easy, that might be the solution that you're looking for. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.